Get this figure at the Chosen Prime, official sponsors of TFCon 2017. What's going on, gang? Baltmatrix here, and today we are taking a look at Maketoys Thunder Erebus. This figure was purchased at the Chosen Prime. Now, Thunder Erebus is a, repaint or a Scourge/Black Convoy repaint of Thunder Manus or Thunder Magnus. I think it's Thunder Manus from Maketoys. The alt mode is not what it is packaged in. It's actually packaged in all three of its different robot forms, which we will get into throughout the course of this review. And I have to say, I absolutely adore the look of this alt mode. One major problem, though. The trailer just comes right off the back of the cab. I really wish this stuck in better, but it doesn't. Oh well. Deliciously modeled in all black, gray, and dark blue with some silver highlights here and there. The overall effect is very, very good. Though the trailer is incredibly massive compared to the tiny little cab we have up here, I really don't care about that. It looks good, it looks futuristic, and the molding across the entire figure is absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, the trailer doesn't look good when the cab is disconnected. There's nothing to hold the front of the trailer up. It just kind of flops right down. You can take the back part or inside part here just behind the trailer or the cab and fold what are the giant robot arms down to hold it up, but otherwise there's nothing holding it up. The top of the trailer also looks very cool with these fans built into the top, and it just looks really neat. It makes me feel like this is what an evil version of Power Master Prime is supposed to look like. The figure's cab mode is actually pretty small. Here he is next to Rumble, and as you can see, Titans Returns Legends class Rumble is roughly the same size, though the proportions are a little bit different. Now, there are actually two different figures here. There is the engine, which is an engine master, pops right out, and he forms the front of the vehicle mode, and he works exactly like the original G1 Engine Masters do, except this guy has ball joints that you can pop off very easily if you are not careful, like I did. Trying to get a close-up on the little engine dude, it proves rather difficult. He looks fantastic, though, and he reminds me of Leader 1 from Transformers Armada, who was Megatron's Minicon. It feels very similar to it in looks and design. To give you guys an idea of the size of the little dude, here he is next to a Titan Master. He is actually smaller than a Titan's Master. As you saw, the transformation for this little guy is very easy. Flip up the hood of his engine, take his leg, and turn it so that the back of the leg is pointing towards the side, and then just fold the leg up on those giant pegs sticking off his arms. And that is his transformation into an engine mode. It does then peg into the front of the cab, specifically in these two peg ports. You don't have to plug him in. When you don't have him plugged in, the cab mode looks fine. What I like to do, though, is to push the grill in first and then attach the figure. It's just a personal preference. I just like doing it that way. You do run into a little bit of an issue with the bumper, though, because the spring that attaches this guy in there is a little bit too tight. He does push out a little bit more than he's supposed to, I think, and it pushes on the bumper in a weird way, so it kind of pushes the bumper down a little bit. Not a big deal, just something to be aware of. The cab itself is beautiful. All black, silver tires, or I should say silver rims, gold-plated little ball bearings in there, gray wheels, gray in the front, beautiful red tinted windows, and just an overall excellent alt mode. Transformation is pretty simple. Come to the back of the figure, rotate the edge of the back of the cab mode 180 degrees to form the front of the feet. Come to the front wheel, kind of pull the fender down, and then it will flip back to the back side and cover up the rear wheels, and we could do that on both sides. Getting it back into cab mode is a little bit tricky with these, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Oh, and one thing that I keep forgetting is the fenders that are on the back wheels have a tendency to move about as you're futzing with the figure. Just be aware of that. Then we can fold the what would be the legs down a little bit. come to the top of the cab mode and unpeg these sections. And this is actually the hardest part of the transformation because you got to have a little bit of a fingernail to get your fingernail in there. Flip them all the way down to the back of the cab mode. Then come to the front of the cab mode and actually pull the entire front of the cab mode away from the windows. Then we could take the rear of the cab and the side windows and fold them back a little bit, but not before we reach inside and pull up the robot head. And make sure that this pulls all the way up and slides into place. Fold the shoulders back. Grab this entire front of the cab section and pull it away. Turn it 180 degrees and put it flush up against the back of the figure. And then fold the bumper down. And then we could come to the sides here and fold them down and turn the fists into place. And we have Erebus. And let me tell you, Erebus is a thing of beauty. This little mini Optimus Prime, or evil Optimus Prime, looks simply fantastic. Wonderful body sculpt, wonderful head sculpt. Yeah, he's got an entire front of a cab hanging off his back. I don't really care. That head sculpt is also Optimus Prime all the way, and the blue with the red on the chest work so well for this figure. Again, using Legends Class Rumble for scale, you could see that it's just a smidge bigger than a Legends Class figure. And here's a Titans Returns Deluxe Class figure for scale as well. As you can see, it's approximately 3/4 of the size of a Deluxe. Posability-wise, head does not look up or down, but can move side to side. Shoulders move up and down a little bit, forward and back. Ball joint at the upper arm, over 90-degree bend at the elbow.
Wrist swivel.
Some torso articulation, but it is blocked by the giant backpack. Legs can kick high that much. Legs can only kick out that much with the wheel up, but then with the wheel down can kick out way more. Swivel just below the hip, over 90-degree bend at the knee. Toe swivel. Thanks to the great range of movement, the figure is actually able to pull off some pretty good poses. And you wouldn't think that having toe swivels would help much, but it enables the figure to pull off some really nifty tricks and to stabilize itself in all types of poses. This pose is from the back of the box and is probably one of my favorite. Transformation back into cab mode isn't very hard at all, but we are going to do a few minor things a little bit differently. So just be aware of that because we're going to be moving into the full transformation next. And getting this guy into cab mode isn't hard at all, but the hardest part is just getting that head down. Just getting the head down into the chest proves to be problematic sometimes. You just got to take a deep breath and try it again. And then the other tricky part is getting these arms lined up, but it's not too bad. I like to just leave the arms out a little bit, turn them in, move the wrist swivels, and then bring them together, combine them, and then flip it over, and these two little black panels will peg into the areas beside the head. And then once that's done, we can then lift it up. And the only real issue I have with the figure as a whole is because it's all black, you do have trouble seeing all of the peg holes. Now, we are going to, instead of folding the fender parts back and flipping the toes around, we're just going to leave them where they are and fold the feet up, making sure the feet are flush, and then take the entire rear of the vehicle mode and turn it up, and the little peg holes that are inside of the back of the ankles will peg into those spots right there, and that whole unit will peg together like this, and then we can just attach the engine and snap everything into place. And now we're going to turn our attention to the trailer. The guns have been removed for the trailer, and it looks rather plain. One issue I have with the trailer, and that's a quality control issue, are the flashing on just these components. Everything else on the figure is fine, except for these 4 dots on both sides. I don't know why that happened. I guess it was just a manufacturing error. Nothing I could do about it. It's not that ungainly, just something to be aware of. Okay, transformation time. First, come to the front of the trailer, fold the little tab there back, reach underneath, and wiggle out the bottom part of the giant robot arms, and then just leave them out there like that. Coming to the sides of the trailer, take the side and fold it down and peg it into place on the rear panel. grab the rear of the trailer, split it apart, and these little black pieces will flip out from the back. Fold the entire side out, fold it down, open up those two pieces, and then fold this black part in and reclose it, and that will snap together. And do the same thing on the other side. Next, come to the area just behind the front of the trailer and fold up these black panels, and then fold the entire section up, and they will peg into place on the top of the trailer. Just be wary of this double hinge section because it can get a little tricky sometimes on you. Take the entire rear section of the trailer, turn it 180 degrees. Next, grab the section with the fans and pull it as far forward as you can. There's a little slider right there. Then we can fold this whole section up and it will peg into place. Next, coming to the back of the trailer. This is the weirdest part of the transformation, and I've got to give Maketoys a ton of credit because this whole rear section transforms in a really interesting way. First, come back to these sections here and fold them down. Then take the trailer and split the legs apart, or I should say the rear section apart a little bit. Come to the back wheels and first unpeg them from the sides like that. Then come up to the front part of the wheels and unpeg them from the sides of this gray piece like that. And then this whole section will finally open up, and we could take this whole section and fold it forward. Come up to the middle, and this big gray section will unpeg and then collapse up into a butt. Okay, coming down to what will be the feet. This is a little weird, so move the panel up out of the way, grab these wheels that are down here, and they will accordion up into this section here. You might have to just pull things around and get things out of the way, but they will actually accordion up in there, though it is not easy to do. Oh, right, I forgot about that joint. Fold the joints in, and then it'll accordion with no problems. Oops, forgot about that. Collapse this double ratcheting hinge down as much as you can. Take the wheels and unpeg them, and then fold them back until they snap into place, and then fold them up until they peg in right there. Now that the legs are dealt with, we're going to take the arms, fold them out, but don't fold them all the way down yet. We have to slide them forward on this pin and then fold them down, and they will snap into place. So do the same on the other side, snap it into place. Come to the inner part of the arms, and where these missiles are, slide them forward until they click into place. Then grab the outer forearms and open up the panels and flip out the fists. Finally, reach inside the chest, grab the head and the entire connector section, fold it all the way up, then grab your little cab and drop it into place, and this little pin will peg in to that clasp right there. So snap it into place, push it down and snap it into place, and then drop this whole top section down. And there are two very small pegs right there that these sections will connect to, though they have a tendency to just pop right off sometimes. Yep, see? Push it down, snap it into place, pop right off. It actually doesn't matter because it holds together perfectly fine. Next up, we're going to add some guns to the shoulders. Gun section number 1. Bam! Gun section number 2. Blam! Remember this little gun that Erebus held? It actually fits into the giant gun. Boom! And number 2. Kablamo! And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, may I introduce to you Thunder Erebus. It is absolutely stunning. This is probably one of my favorite third-party figures of 2017. It is gorgeous, super posable, lots of fun, and is a perfect, or I should say near perfect, reinterpretation of Power Master Optimus Prime, or G1 Power Master Optimus Prime. It is just phenomenal, and I really don't have anything bad to say about it. The transformation is a little bit complicated and a little bit cumbersome. The instructions are actually 2 separate booklets that you have to just line up the numbers to follow along. And this figure is so much more entertaining than Power Master Optimus Prime we got in Titans Returns. Just so much better and so much more fun. Thunder Erebus can look down that much, can look up that much. Shoulder moves forward and back on a swivel, up and down on a hinge, and he keeps hitting himself in the head when you do that. Swivel at the upper arm, double elbow, swivel at the wrist. Hands open and close on a single peg, ratcheting torso articulation for days. Legs can kick forward that much, can kick out that much. Thigh swivel, over 90-degree bending ratchet in the knee. Ankle articulation, in and out, and minor articulation forward and back, separate toe articulation. One very awesome thing about Maketoys figures over the last year or so is that Maketoys molds a channel into the back of the palms and then puts a little peg, or I should say wedge, on the handle of the gun that allows it to just simply slide into that little channel, and the figure never has a problem with loose holding weapons. Thanks to all this wonderful articulation, you could pull off some really dynamic poses. One word of warning, though. The front skirt does have a tendency to fall off on my figure. I am shocked to find out, though, it looks exactly like a Gundam's front skirt. It's got ball joints up there, and the front skirt panels get out of the way, so you get even more front articulation than what I showed just a second ago. The skirt goes back on with no problems, though I am thinking of gluing it back in, or just gluing it in general, just so it doesn't pop off. It does fall off pretty easily, especially if you get it at the wrong angle. Just be careful. One nice thing about the figure is that you can store the weapons on the back via these pegs on the sides of the fans. Fits back there with no problems, stays on there easily, doesn't fall off. I dare say that Thunder Erebus is an absolutely wonderful addition to your collection, and if you are in the mood for something a little bit different than a standard Power Master Prime, you should definitely pick this set up. It's so much fun, it's so poseable, it has very, very, very minor issues that are all easily looked past because the build quality is so good. The quality control is nearly top-notch, but it's just so much fun. It is one of the best third-party figures to come out in 2017. So, gang, if you can get it, if you can afford it, I would get yourselves over to the Chosen Prime and pick this figure up. Thank you so much for watching this video review. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. I am Baltmatrix, and I will catch you next time.